Hey everyone, welcome to week 7. I will get your hard news stories graded this week or next week. So take a look within the next 2 weeks. I think I should get most all of them done this week. There is a chance though that a few of you might be trickling over till next week, but within the next 2 weeks you will have your hard news stories graded and I'll give you lots of feedback. And please take the time to actually read that feedback. Like I've been saying, that feedback is there to not just let you know why you got the grade that you did, but more importantly, to know how you can improve and what you need to work on for the next one. So if I say AP style was weak, that gives you a chance now to review AP style. If I say your lead needs help or your story structure, you can always go back, reread, or ask me questions about how should I perform better story structure. So the point is, take a look at that feedback, make sure you understand why I said what I said, and sometimes I can't get as in depth in that feedback. So if you need me to, I'd be happy to answer more questions if you're still confused about whatever you get and whatever I say about your assignment. All right, let's take a look at what we're doing this week. You're going to be reading chapter 10. There is no quiz this week, so what's going to happen is you're going to read chapter 10 this week, and then next week I'm going to give you a section of another chapter, and then we'll have a quiz on both chapters 10 and that other section. So next week you'll have the combined quiz, but this week it's just the reading, preparing for that this will be on the quiz for next week. You're also going to read this feature story from the Washington Post. It's right here, so you'll be able to see it. You're going to read this article, and that's going to lead us into what your reflection question is, what your exercise is. So if you go to homework here, and we look at the reflection question. So this is going to be your exercise. You're going to be commenting on this. You're going to write about the lessons and techniques you observe being applied in Chapter 10. That's worth 15 points. So you're going to read that feature story. You're going to read In the Army and the Klan, He Hated Muslims. Now One Was Coming to Chris Buckley's Home. So after you read that, you're going then to apply. So you should have to read the chapter first. You're going to apply the lessons you've been learning from Chapter 10 on storytelling for features. And you're going to say, how you saw it connected to the actual feature story that you read. You're also going to talk about other lessons that you've learned. And I'm already seeing here I've messed something up here. This is supposed to be 5 points, but that's all right. We can talk about that in a second. Anyways, this is talk about other lessons that we've learned from the book Observe Being Applied. So if you see other lessons that you've learned leading up to this feature story, not just in Chapter 10, but other things that have stood out to you when you read this story that you saw being applied, you're going to mention that as well. So here's where I have 2 comments for you. You're going to be answering number 1 and number 2, and I want you to be specific. So, for example, you're not going to just say, they did a great job with story structure, right? You're going to give me an exact line or section of the article where you reference that you observe something being applied. So if you start talking about the story structure, maybe you say, I like how the 4th paragraph started with, X, Y, and Z. That talked about his background, and then the next paragraph goes into a quote, which fits along with story structure. I'm just making stuff up right now, but you get the idea, right? Or maybe you talk about how it was a really good lead. So you talk about specifically what the lead was in the article, and then what the lesson was that you've learned about leads, and you connect the two. My point is, do not talk just in general about this, generality. Just don't say, did a really good job with the nut graph. Explain what in the nut graph was so good and why, what lesson we've learned that you've heard that you saw being applied. Okay, so get specific as possible. It also has to be at least 500 words. If it's not 500 words, you're automatically not getting full points. So it has to be 500 words. You can do this in bullet points. So some students think it's just easier to do bullet points. So, you write nut graph as a bullet point, and you write a paragraph about what the nut graph was, and you write another bullet point. That's okay. You can do that, or you can do it like most students do, is like an actual, written out, almost like an essay format of 500 words, what you witnessed. But the point is, the total word count has to be 500 words. Going to the points, and like I said, I'm going to adjust this in a minute, but the first part here is going to be worth 15 points. So chapter 10 is really what I'm looking for. How much of chapter 10 are you connecting with it? The other lessons that we've learned, I'm going to put 5 points here. So you do have to list some other lessons that we've learned within the other chapters to get those 5 points. And then the last 5 points here is going to be, were you specific and did you reach the 500 words? And here's kind of the other part of this. If you're not specific, then this isn't going to be full 15 points either. You're probably not going to be able to get the 15 points for this because you didn't give me enough information. So the point is, get specific, get to at least 500 words, make sure you're answering from chapter 10 connections, and make sure you're answering connections from the other book, and you're going to do fine on this assignment. And that's it for this week. So like I said, no quiz, just an exercise. Next week, we're going to talk about your next writing assignment. So I'll be giving that. But really what I'm hoping, the reason this is also, I'd say a little bit of a lighter week as well, is because my goal is, like I said, to get those hard news stories back to you at some point within the week so you can also look at the feedback. I'll take you some time to look at my feedback and really make sure you understand, what I gave you and understand that. If you want to, I don't have it listed yet, but if you want to, you can start to just think about your next assignment is going to be a feature story and it's going to be a profile. It's going to be on a specific person. And it can't be like your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your best friend. It has to be a little outside of your comfort zone. So if you want to start thinking about somebody that might make for an interesting profile, you can start thinking about that, just so you know that's going to be the next assignment. All right, as always, let me know if you have any questions, but that's what we got going on for this week. And like I said, I'm going to try to get those hard news stories back to you quickly. And then please let me know if you have any questions about those.